real, I guess.
Everyone's
Would be
weird
the
all the time, forever, and always. Hi, welcome to the stream. Hello, we're live. What's going on? It's Rum and Coke. We're
Yo.
just hanging out. I got Dapper with me. I got Czar. I got Rock, who keeps changing his name to different types of rocks. And I got Athens with me, who's a small dog plush with a tiny Buster Sword.
Well, since he's a rock, is he an atheist?
Is he an atheist? Hi, everybody. I see Hawkscall and Icarus are already here. Man, what's going on? Has everybody had a good weekend? Did everybody have a good whatever holiday it's supposed to be?
I think it was Trans Visibility Day, which it always is on March 31st, and then also
Yes.
Easter, which it usually isn't on March 31st, despite the fact that apparently a weirdly high number of Christians on Twitter were confused about that.
What? Why?
Because apparently a bunch of them thought that Joe Biden had declared Easter to be Trans Visibility Day in an effort to erase Easter. Because apparently
Because they
some of
forgot
that
that
makes
last
sense.
year happened?
Or the last 15 years. Yeah, apparently.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
It's a whole thing, and it's the dumbest shit.
It's back to the war on Christmas, but on a new holiday.
Yeah.
Yay!
See, the government wants you to not celebrate Easter, which they said by doing nothing that prevents you from celebrating Easter.
Got it.
And they instead want you to celebrate trans people by not forcing you to celebrate trans people, but having a day on which they recognize that they exist. Yep.
I'm confused.
Truly a devastating blow to Christianity.
Yeah, Christianity's done. It's never going to recover.
I
sorry,
didn't
everybody.
realize Christianity was that fragile.
Well, the thing is, it's not always, but it is with the kind of people who are going to go on Twitter and be like, I can't believe President Biden would do this, even though, one, he didn't, and two, it's not even what they think it is.
What? Crazy Republicans getting something Biden said wrong? That
I
never
know.
happens.
It's so
What are you
surprising.
on about?
Just imagine how base the Democrats would be if 1% of what the Republicans accuse them of were actually true.
I mean, honestly, I would find it a little weird if the Democrats purposefully decided to co-opt some holiday
That would
for
be
some
weird.
other purpose. That would be weird, and I probably wouldn't be super happy about that. I'd be like, guys, let's not do that. But that's clearly not what happened. Very clearly.
I wouldn't put it past the Democrats to do something like that, but they're not. They're just,
Whoops.
Well, Joe
they're
Biden
definitely not
acknowledged
doing
it,
that
so
thing.
he put it in place.
Is that how that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah.
My favorite thing
Apparently.
is,
it was all laid out in Hunter Biden's laptop.
yeah, it was right next to his
Oh,
dick pics.
the whole plan was already put out there.
Yeah, that's what was on the laptop, was Hunter Biden's nudes and the plans to ruin Easter.
The amount of conspiracy theories I've seen in the last couple of days is bonkers.
Oh, yes, and it's never stopping.
It's never gonna stop.
No, that's true.
Can't
It never
stop,
will.
won't stop.
Nope. I mean, who's got the time? Who's got the time to even debunk half of this shit?
Oh, probably me.
God, yeah,
I mean, if you want to, you go right ahead.
I'm not saying I want to. I'm just saying I probably have time to.
Yeah.
yeah, if you took the time to debunk any one of these claims, 15 more claims would pop up, and
Yeah.
it's like fractal.
Oh yeah.
This is absolute chaos. I'm playing TFT, and what I'm looking at right now is absolutely insane.
And none of us can see it.
Nobody else can see it. Nobody's allowed to see it. Only I'm allowed to witness whatever monstrosity I just happen to see. Absolutely ridiculous. Unreasonable. But
There
you
is
guys
no
do-
reason here.
Did anybody here do Thanksgiving? I just realized I left my beer in the freezer.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I think she means Easter.
Oh. Nah, I didn't.
Well, someone gave me some turkey, so that was
Well-
nice.
I had Mexican lasagna and ham.
I had
That's good.
chicken. I had chicken.
My
I made
Isn't
it,
that
yeah.
kind of cannibalistic, though?
How so?
Well, it's not cannibalistic. It's like ancestor or descendant eating, I guess.
None of my descendants are chickens.
That's fair, I guess. It was just the closest thing I could think of.
No.
It's kind of like saying it's cannibalistic to eat a rabbit because other UR contigliers that didn't give rise to primates gave rise to rabbits. So really, you're just eating another UR contiglier. And it's like, I guess I can't say that you're wrong about that, but it seems kind of silly. And I'm realizing I used the wrong size pillars because I'm an idiot.
I thought this was going to be one of those stouts that you needed to hard pour, but I guess not. I should have slow poured it. Look at all that head. It's like half the fucking cup.
Jeez.
Whoops. I think I might have just done it wrong.
Yeah.
My
I
bad.
think you're going to get a community guideline strike if you keep putting that much head on screen.
Hey! Not wrong. Not wrong.
You have to tell us what it tastes like.
It's Nanaimo. You guys know what Nanaimo is?
Nope.
It's
Nope.
like a dessert, Canadian
Oh.
dessert.
Oh.
I was gonna say it could be a few things, but yes, the dessert.
So is it like candied beaver jerky?
No, it's like a sweet, chocolatey, thick milkshake beer. Sorry,
With moose milk?
probably. I mean, I don't know if they're using authentic moose milk, but it should be made with authentic moose.
All right. Because otherwise it's not really Canadian, you know.
Right. But it does say some Muskoka on it, though.
No maple syrup?
Well, that doesn't come from mooses. That comes from trees.
I
Yeah,
know.
but they're Canadian trees. Well, they're mostly French Canadian trees, so you know.
A lot of them are French
Oh,
Canadian
oh.
trees.
I was simply asking if it was added. Not that it came from mooses.
Yeah, you know, Quebec has a literal strategic syrup reserve. That's a thing that they do.
Nanaimo
God, that sounds
bar.
so American.
This Nanaimo bar porter is true to the decadent dessert, starting with chocolate on the top, vanilla in the middle, and finally a base note of coconut with balanced sweetness throughout.
Oh.
Yeah, it is sweet, but it doesn't taste like too sweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's
I
good.
almost screwed that up.
Have any of you ever tried to milk a beaver?
No. Can't say that I have.
Muskoka, yeah. The reason I said Muskoka is because like Muskoka is like a big like holiday area in Canada. That's like, oh, that's where everybody goes up north to go on holiday.
Why would you go up north in Canada? You're already way too north as it is.
It's where the lakes are, that aren't the big cold ones.
If they're anywhere north of where you are and you're already in Canada, then they're already too cold.
For you, yes. For me, no. Everything is relative. I feel so bad. I'm just gonna low roll this game because I'm like only half paying attention, and also because I'm just not putting the right items on my guide because I'm being an asshole.
You are one of those.
I'm being a dick. Like I'm not rolling properly. I'm not like looking around at what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just busy spilling beer all over myself like an asshole.
Well, the
When the
beer is
hell did I
supposed to
get this test dummy? What the hell is this guy? Where did it come from?
It's yours now.
Oh, I'm
so-
supposed to protect the dummy and I just left it at the front. What do I get? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I wasn't paying attention. Oh well.
So now you lose.
Yeah, probably. That's okay. That's what I get. I earned my failure all by myself. Okay, if I'm supposed to protect the dummy, it needs to go like here and then this guy needs to go here and here, and this needs to go here, and this needs to go over here, and this guy needs to go over here, and this guy needs to go here, and this guy needs to go here. That should do it. Okay.
But
Now that
are
I'm looking at what I'm doing,
are you sure that guy's supposed to go there and not there?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're
Fool
sure,
me.
I'll trust you.
Yeah, no, I'm right. No, I'm right now. I'm in the right spots now.
'Kay.
We're good. We need to crack this and get this. Give me this. Give to me. Where's Galio? Right there. You get that, and you get that. There you go, buddy. My
Thanks.
team is very strong, but I'm just playing the game wrong.
Well, whose fault is that?
Mine. It's my fault. I
There you go.
don't know what to tell you.
Seems fair.
I'm just not sure if I should trade out for this guy, because this guy would be pretty funny on this team.
I agree.
I'm gonna buy him anyway.
Buying people, that's normal.
Yes, it is. It's a game. What do you mean? Orin is not a person. He's a giant
Okay.
egg.
Ethics fly out the window when you're playing video games.
Plus, what I'm hearing is that Chesh's ideal game is actually Transatlantic Slave Trade, the simulator.
Hmm.
What did I do to deserve this today?
You decided to have a weirdo dinosaur come on.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit go live, so
I'm rolling down right now and I'm trying to find the units I need, and I got one of them, so that's something. It's still not the unit I need. But I'm
Nice.
running out of HP, so either I do it or I don't and die. So it's do or die, losers.
well then do it.
Yeah, that's also what I would suggest.
No, I'm dying. What do you want from me?
The do part.
The do part. No. I refuse.
Okay.
Because I'm not paying enough attention. There we go. Thank God I'm out of that game. My Unfinished Journey said celebrating my second solo day of your new job. Oh, congratulations.
Nice.
I don't know what your new job is, and I don't want to pry into your life, but I didn't get last place. How the fuck did that happen? Go me. I didn't lose that bad.
It would have been funnier if you won.
It would have been very funny if I won. But congratulations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Good for you.
Everyone is happy for you.
I've heard My Unfinished Journey speak on like recording. Have you any of you heard My Unfinished Journey speak before?
No.
Nope.
Oh my
If
god.
I have, I don't remember it.
His voice is butter.
Oh,
Butter.
maybe we should try to get him to record my videos for me.
Oh my god, I would love to have an intro recorded by him. That'd be so cool.
No, I just mean all of it.
I mean, that'd be cool too.
I just
Like
I
just
just
write
give up
scripts
talking.
and let him do the reading.
Yeah.
That'd be rad.
For one thing, it would mean I probably wouldn't have to like wake up at 2:30 a.m. to make sure it's nice and quiet so I can record it effectively.
That's how I feel about streaming in a house with 3 other people that play internet games. When I'm like, is my internet gonna work today and not lag the fuck out? I don't know. Who's to say?
And you got to go to the bathroom, check to see if there's toilet paper.
Yeah, always check. Always double check.
Oh God.
Mhm.
Toilet. Get a bidet.
There is one. I don't think you understand how that works.
Yeah, you don't just use the bidet. It's an and, not an or.
Alright. Have you been using a bidet and still not wiping your ass? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Just let the water drip down your leg. What's wrong with that?
Ugh.
Just pull up your pants and just have swamp ass instantly.
Oh, good. It glitched. Yay.
Hello, Manya.
Manya,
What's
you're
up?
here.
Hi
How you
everyone.
doing? Welcome to the bigot train, because that's apparently where we live now.
Is that what's happening?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
was
I
not
don't have a
consulted on
ticket.
this.
Am I allowed to be here?
Oh yeah, you're fine. Children are allowed
Okay.
free of cost. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Must be this tall to ride.
That means you're too short, Chesh.
Ah, fuck.
Oh no. Yeah. So Shash also
You can-
rides for free.
You can stand on my shoulders and pretend to be that tall.
They're just
Mm.
climbing into someone's pocket.
There's a book that I had to read called Freak the Mighty. in like junior high. Are any of you familiar with this book?
Never heard of it.
No.
Basically it's about two kids that are in either high school, junior high, like they're young adults,
Mhm.
and or they're like a little bit younger than that, and one of them is has like cerebral palsy and uses canes to walk, and he's really really smart, and the other guy is like a big guy who's just he's just not that bright.
Oh,
he's
like
got
Master
some kind of
Blaster?
he's got like some kind of learning disability. So what they do is they're like, well, I'm not good enough physically and you're not intelligent enough, where this intelligent disabled child berates the hell out of this big kid and gets him to carry him around on his shoulders all the time so they don't
Oh
get
my
bullied.
god.
So,
Oh,
Master Blaster?
Master Blaster.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
called
God.
Freak the Mighty. I also read one called Maniac McGee. I don't know if you guys ever read that one. That one's about like a kid that gets like abandoned by society and somebody finds him sleeping in like a baseball. You know how baseball's areas have like the little hut spots? He's sleeping in one of those.
Dugout?
Yeah, in the dugout, but also in like the supply closet.
Oh, okay.
It's
So,
wacky.
Josh, did you see the notes I sent you just now? Were you
I
able
saw
to have a
you sent them to me. I was already live though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not 3,000 words. Hehehe.
Finally,
think
this game has given me a head big enough to fit my ego.
Uh, oh god. So, for everyone, I'm prepping for my live stream that's upcoming. Hopefully, after the rum and coke, I'll be able to do that.
Wait, like
Um,
directly after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't stay here for long. I'm not gonna stay here for long. Maybe maximum 30 minutes or so because I need to go back. I'm just taking a break because it's so much stupid. It's so much stupid. Oh my god.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so what I'm actually doing is I'm making my notes. I'm watching that live stream. I've watched it before, but because this time it has to be a, succinct and precise and all that shit. So I'm recording myself, plus I am dictating notes at the same time about whatever the fuck comes to my mind. And I'm gonna nitpick from all those. And then like, okay, this is the point I want to make around this point. So yeah, that's what's happening. And it's like my brain's like, why do you do this to yourself? So yeah. And
That's a good
I've-
question.
Chish is in a trench coat.
yeah, why not?
Oh, do
So,
I
yeah.
do it? Do I do it? Do I go Invoker? I do not. No, I'm a coward.
What are you doing?
I'm being a coward.
Where?
It's playing TFT.
Oh, okay.
Where
That
are you
sounded
being
like
a
that.
coward?
Right
Where?
here. Right now.
Yeah.
Right this second.
So yeah, so that's, and I've already like postponed that live stream like what, thrice, and I'm just like, no, I'm not postponing it again. It will be done today, even though my brains are mush. I don't give a shit. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could be high for the very first time, having never been high before, and still produce better quality content than what you're reviewing.
Right?
I
Correct.
have faith in you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's like if you
I'm
put Dapper against like what's his face? Hovind Jr.
Oh
Right.
god,
Eric.
no.
Wait. What Eric Hovind cosplaying as Eric from The Little Mermaid when?
What?
I mean,
It's-
he's got kids. You might be able to find a way to get him to do that for Halloween.
He should
If-
totally do that for Halloween. He would
I mean,
probably pull it off too.
So
Yeah, I think it might be a legitimately good costume for him.
I
Like,
don't
not-
like that. I don't hate Eric Hovind.
Well, here's the thing, man. This is a guy who has done one thing that most people in his situation struggle to do, and that is, in fact, laudatory, which is to say, he has kicked an abusive. Now there's a tree in the middle of this. Why is there a tree here? Great.
Tree Y.
He has managed to kick an abusive parent entirely out of his lives and the lives of basically his entire family. Which,
Yeah.
like I said, very few people can ever manage. Why are there so many fucking trees? I cut these trees down. Did they regrow?
Respectable.
You're not allowed to regrow.
the tree is like, fuck you.
Damn it.
I'm gonna grow.
I live
Yes.
here.
You
Right?
put this game in multiplayer and it gets so fucking janky.
So one of the
I
examples.
think what Dapper's saying is credit where credit is due.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
like, look, there's a lot of dumb stuff that Eric Hogan does, and like he's gotten in trouble with like the FDA before for, selling poison as medicine.
Yeah.
But on the other
Which
hand,
is
like,
bad.
one, I'm grading him on a curve, right? Because he's had such a ridiculously awful and abusive upbringing, so
Yeah.
there's that. But then also, he managed to get a horrible, abusive asshole out of his life and out of his kid's life in a way that most people are never able to do. And I think that redounds to his credit, no matter how much I might disagree with him on most other things.
Sure.
And I don't want to ignore that because it's an actual good thing that he's done there.
I saw
And not an easy
somebody leave a comment, and I think it was on Aaron's live stream talking about how Katie Joy can't get laid or whatever. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
Katie Joy has had a husband through everything. They have a child that has medical needs. Whether or not you think that she's consistent about what those medical needs are, the child does in fact have medical needs.
Yeah.
She went through how many lawsuits? Again, whether or not you think she should have failed at those lawsuits or not, she's been through them, and she's been through a lot of shit on the internet. Again, whether you believe it's deserved or not is not relevant. The point is that she's been through it, and she is still married. Not
Aaron, where's your
everybody can say
boyfriend?
that, including the people who comment on her.
Yeah, Aaron, where's your boyfriend?
You said it, not me.
I don't give a fuck.
It's one of those things where you don't have to like somebody to acknowledge the facts of the matter, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like Eric Hoven to acknowledge that he did right by like his family, or that he did right by some people in his life.
I mean, not just his kids either. I mean, also his brother Kent
And
Andrew.
his mom.
Yeah, and his mom. I mean, that's a big deal. She was okay. Look, she won't confirm or deny whether or not Kent ever physically or emotionally abused her. However,
Sure.
if he hadn't, I feel like she would say that that's the case, that he hadn't.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason she's not doing so is because she has internalized a lot of that.
Abuse.
Yeah, that
Well, not
happens.
just abuse, but also like a lot of the like religiously based misogyny that
The
is
reasoning.
prevalent.
Yeah.
The reasoning, she's internalized the reasons. Yeah.
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 Like I can't speak ill of my husband. That's like God's special provider for me. It's like,
Oh boy.
Yeah, you can.
oh.
So I have a very specific thing about this that like irks me, and I will bring it up every single time. If you're in a covenant with God and your husband is abusing you, he is not upholding his end of the bargain. Your covenant is null and void by
Problem.
his doing, not by yours. If you have
I would.
somebody in your life, like a pastor, telling you that you have to stay with an abusive husband because of this agreement, when he's already broken the agreement, it's not on you.
The thing is that what happens is the pastors and all, how they are able to claim that it's all still fine because they try to gaslight the person who's coming to them and saying I'm being abused as like, no, this is not abuse. That's
Or
how
even
they
if
are.
it is, you have to stay and work it out anyway.
Yes, but I think so. A lot of the times it's said like, no, that's not abuse. You're overreacting, or you are not looking from his perspective, or you need to look at this from another perspective and like darve the shit out of them or gaslight the shit out of them till they start like internalizing all that abuse and all that reasoning, and then it just becomes a norm. So yeah, the church, the pastors, they have a huge role to play, and I think so they are also at fault. Like 90% of the time they are at fault for enabling such behavior and
Yeah, it's
such
a big problem. It's a big problem.
Yes. Yeah. So like going back to the whole thing of like Erin's video that I'm covering tonight. So so she hasn't watched mine nor Susan's video before she went into it, and then she blames me for it. Some reason I'm to blame that she looks like an idiot. And then
Well, yeah.
Susan
Duh,
at one
Manya.
point,
You shoot the
Susan-
messenger, Manya.
yeah, Susan at one point says, "Oh, I don't get mad at people who I disagree with. I will call them out." And I repeat that, and then Erin starts talking about it as if I made that argument that you should be mad at people that you want to call out or you disagree with. And I'm like, do you listen? English is my second language, and she acts like she doesn't know, cannot comprehend English. I'm like, I didn't make that point. Susan said that. I repeated it. I was like, okay, you don't get mad at people. You call them out and yada yada yada. And Aaron's like, oh no, you shouldn't be mad at. Don't have to be mad at people. I'm like, it's not my point. It's Susan's point. What are you doing? And I'm like, that's what happened.
Mad at people 24/7. If you're not, fuck you. I guess.
Fuck you.
Fuck
No, like,
you.
no,
Yeah.
Aaron's trying to pretend that I said that you should be mad at people you disagree with or you want to call out with. When I never said that. I'm just repeating what Susan said, that she does not stay mad at people, or she's not mad at people she disagree with. And she, for some reason, it becomes my point, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing, woman?
Darvo.
And it's Darvo. Yeah, that whole live stream is a Darvo. It's a Darvo.
I cut Rock said, what the hell did I walk in on? And the answer is, it's rum and coke night, dude.
It's rum and coke.
Welcome.
Yeah.
We got Landon.
What?
What up, Landon?
Yeah.
Landon's in the chat.
Hello,
Landon, do you want to come?
Quick, please.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
No. Oh, he's in the studio. Oh, yes. Awesome.
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone and latitude. And hello there, all your fine folk. I am, in New Zealand, it's Taco Tuesday. But I'm making tacos tonight for the family. And I'm going to have some family will be coming in and out as we're making tacos here.
Nice.
And we've got a grill, we got some tortillas, we got some other people going and get some other stuff. We're gonna do some egg. We got some cheesy bits over here and veggie bits and other things and so forth. So we're gonna be making tacos. I figure, but I do have some rum. I don't have any Coke, but that's I just wanted to be able to participate in the RNC and such. And by the way, I think, Manya, more people whose primary language is English could learn from how articulate you are in the English language.
Thank you.
Landon, you reminded me my plan for Easter is lamb tacos.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's sacrilege or if that is but no, I guess if you're doing the Lent, it's the anti-Lent part.
Well, I mean, Easter is the end of the fast, so I mean there is that. But basically, I'm just doing it because this year Easter lands on May 5th.
And yeah, and Passover is on a different spot too. But this is the other Easter is in the one of the earliest times of the year.
Yeah, the two Easters are at like opposite ends of their range, which is weird.
Do you want to briefly, because you're a student of history, explain why there are different Easters, even though there's an algorithm?
So basically, the one version of Easter was calculated primarily in Constantinople, and it was the one that is later, or sometimes when they're the same. I guess then they're the same, but it's the one that's typically later. And they both involve the rule that Easter is going to be the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. The difference is that there's an additional rule that Constantinople used that Rome didn't, which was to say that there would be Easter also couldn't fall on or before Passover. It had to be after Passover. And so basically it comes out to be Easter in the Constantinople method of calculation is either the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox, or the first Sunday after Passover, as it was calculated back when this rule was set about, whichever is later. As a result, some Christians end up celebrating Easter between 0 to like 8 or something weeks later. It's almost never as late as that, but it's usually between like 1 and 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
And this year it's 4.
Wasn't there a previous year where they actually were the same?
Yeah, they coincide every once in a while. Every few years they coincide.
And I would think, given Passover and Easter and the calendar stuff, that in the calendar, you would expect that Easter and Passover would be kind of like correlated, given
They are correlated.
theological stuff. But to hold it before seems a little bit odd to me. But that's just
I mean, so one of the things is one of the things that happened at the Council of Nicaea was, well, first, one of the things that didn't happen at the Council of Nicaea was saying anything about what should be in the Bible. That didn't happen.
yes.
But one of the things that did happen was an attempt to differentiate the Jewish Passover from the Christian, and I'm going to say Passover because that's what the word for Easter means in almost every language that isn't German or English.
Mhm.
And part of that was as an effort to actually make the religions not distinctly separate, because up until that point, there was a lot of overlap among the people attending churches and synagogues.
Mhm.
And one of the things that the bishops of Nicaea wanted to do was make that less of a thing. So part of that was coming up with a way to calculate Easter that didn't directly tie it to Passover, or that
Which seems
differentiated
odd.
it from Passover.
Seems an odd thing to do given the events of Easter. So, but whatever.
I mean, look, I'm not one of the bishops of Nicaea.
By the way, if you check out Milwaukee Atheist channel, Lawrence has a very detailed thing about this council and some of the stuff there. If you're interested in sort of some of the real detailed stuff about that.
And remember, none of it was about figuring out what book should be in the Bible,
No, not at all.
which is it's a common myth that I hear a lot. It's like, oh, the Council of Nicaea decided which books were in the Bible. It's like, no, you're just accepting a random thing Voltaire made up one day. That's what's happening right now.
Well, when did they or where did they come up with what will be in the Bible?
So that's actually a question that has more than one answer. So
Yes, because there's
the
more
New
than one
Test-
Bible, by the way.
Well, there's that. So the 27 books in the New Testament canon were not declared by a council, and there were different lists of books that were circulating, but it was in a paschal letter by one of the Athanasiuses maybe about a century or so after Nicaea, that finally had the full list of 27 books that are currently now considered the New Testament canon. But the thing was that also wasn't an official decree. It was just a paschal letter from the Bishop of Constantinople to the whole rest of Christianity, saying like, oh, hey, happy Easter, everybody. Here are the books that I think you should read. And then people were like, yeah, okay, that's a fine list. As far as the Old Testament canon goes, well, first, the books in the Protestant Old Testament are essentially the same books as in the Jewish Tanakh, although they're arranged a bit differently and the book divisions are a little bit different. So Jews tend to lump most of the shorter prophet books into a single book, and Christians tend to put those as separate books with separate titles, which is, I mean, I don't think that's much of a difference, but it is technically a difference. However, the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox canons are a bit wider and are much closer to the collection known as the Septuagint, which is a Greek translation of numerous Jewish scriptures, as well as things that never really made it to the Jewish canon in the Tanakh. And one of the rules for the Tanakh was basically, if we don't have a Hebrew original, it doesn't count. And at the time that it was being set aside by various rabbis, some of the books that are currently in the Catholic Old Testament weren't known in Hebrew, but later on we have actually found a few in Hebrew in places like the Dead Sea Scrolls. But I mean, whatever. And so actually, the Old Testament canon, it's a weird thing. So for Protestants, what actually ended up happening is a few booksellers started printing Bibles without the Apocrypha section, which was originally in like every edition of the Old Testament ever. And they just stopped printing it. And so that eventually just became the standard in Protestant Bibles. And then it later on got like sort of retroactively justified as a theological decision rather than just an economic decision on the part of booksellers, which is really what it was historically. And so
Yes.
that's how we got the Old Testament that's in most Protestant Bibles. In Catholic and Orthodox Bibles, which are essentially the same canon, it basically remains the books that were in the Septuagint. And then in the Ethiopian canon, they also include some of the books that were popular in even pre-Christian Ethiopia, which includes like a few of the books of Enoch, which is why the Ethiopian canon is the widest canon that you're likely to come across in Christianity.
But Dapper, if Trump's American Bible is God's word, then how could these booksellers make that decision for God, or was God part of the?
That's a really big if.
I mean, the fact is that, historically, no matter what you believe about the Bible and its inspired nature, or it being the word of God, like no matter what you believe about any of those things, the people who on the ground made the decision about what to put in there did not even claim to be hearing directly from God about any of this.
Yeah. And by the way, the King James Version is a really poor translation in many ways.
Yeah, it's not. For the time, it wasn't terrible. In part because
they had nothing.
We have better manuscripts now. So I mean, they were mostly going off of what's called the Textus Receptus, which was a collection created by a guy named Erasmus, and he was working on fairly late manuscripts, which is all that was really known at the time. And he also had some areas where there were bits that he could not find in either Greek or Hebrew. And so he didn't want to include them. But at least in one case, in the Commohanium, someone basically faked a Greek manuscript in order to convince him to include it. And it was just back translated from Latin. And he was like, well, I did say if you found a Greek manuscript, and he didn't know it was faked. I mean, we didn't know for certain that it was faked until fairly recently. Because there's a verse, I don't remember what the actual verse in like the chapter and verse is, but it says, and there are three who bear witness in heaven, and the three are one, and it gives like a Trinitarian formula. And it is a late medieval addition to the Vulgate, which is the official Latin translation of the Bible. And it's not clear that it was an intentional like amendation, because it looks like in the earliest manuscripts where it appears, it's it's in the margin, so it's marginalia. But one of the things that tends to happen. Oh, sorry.
Because I say monks that are copying text, holy text, will also sometimes put notations, and then some people think the notation is part of the text and not part of the The
You
monk,
get confused,
like a footnote.
Right. It's like, is this a marginal note, or is this something that you ran out of room for and you forgot, so you wrote it in extra? And that's a real question that has to be asked, is like, was this originally supposed to be a marginal note, or was this originally supposed to be in the text and you forgot to put it in, so then you added it in the margin?
There's a question about what Landon is cooking.
So I'm going to be making tacos for family. There's going to be 5 of us here tonight, and in places like New Zealand, it is Taco Tuesday, and so I have some corn tortillas now. I've got veggies, I've got cheese, I've got veggie meats and other things. We'll do some egg. Nice. People are going to the store to get some things, and so this is a general preparation. Right now, I'm going to be frying up the veggie bits. We're going to use some actually really nice olive oil that I'm going to heat to the point where the mustard seeds begin to pop. This is a technique I learned from a Southern Indian cook on it. You get the oil hot enough, and then dump your spices in and mix it up, and then cook the stuff in there, and da 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 da. So that's what's happening. Is you're seeing a bit of stuff, but I don't have any rum yet. I'm going to go and get some rum. So, but Dapper, please continue on, and I'll just add this thing. Another plug for Moloch the Atheist. Right now they're doing apocryphal. They're reading various books of the Apocrypha and other things in there. There's some pretty interesting texts in there that.
I personally like the one about the haunted vagina.
Yes.
That's an actual thing in there. The book of Tobit is about a man who wants to marry a woman, and she's been married several times before, but her husbands always die on the wedding night. And it turns out it's because there's a demon living in her vagina. So he has to go on essentially a quest to
Yes.
exorcise the demon from inside her vagina.
Yes.
Okay.
This is an
he's not
actual
joking.
text. No, this is really in there. It's
Now,
the book.
had that been in the King James and Kent Hovind was preaching it, that would have been interesting.
Here's the thing: it wasn't a King James. If you pick up a 1611 King James, it has Tobit right there.
Ooh.
The difference is that well after the King James was initially published, that's when certain booksellers started trying to save money by excluding the apocryphal or deuterocanonical books, because the way the King James did it is not the way that say like the Douay Rheims, which is the Catholic Bible, did it. So in the Douay Rheims, it just basically lists the books in the same order as basically the Septuagint is traditionally put in. But one of the things about Saint Jerome, who translated the Vulgate, is that he was skeptical about these deuterocanonical or apocryphal books, and so he wrote a note about that in his translation. And his reason for being skeptical is because, unlike most Latin Christians at the time, he was actually interested in Hebrew, and he had learned Hebrew and was translating in many cases from Hebrew. And so he thought that these books were of lesser importance because he didn't have a Hebrew original. And so he put like notes in there like, we don't have the Hebrew for this one, so how authentic is it really? And so when the King James Bible was being put together, rather than putting them to, just scattered through the Old Testament as had previously been, the pretty standard way of doing it, what he instead did, or what the translators instead did, was they put it in a special section between the Old and the New Testaments. So in the King James, it goes Old Testament as Protestants normally have it, then the apocryphal books, including like the addition to like the longer ending for Daniel and whatnot is in there, like Bell and the Dragon and
Sure.
the Song of Susanna is in the middle. Although it's noted that it's supposed to be associated with Daniel. And then after that section, you get the New Testament. So what the cost-cutting booksellers did was they just didn't print that middle section. They just cut it out because they noticed that people weren't reading it as much as the other two sections. So they were like, well, if people aren't reading it as much and everyone thinks that it's of somewhat secondary importance, we can save money by just not putting it. And the thing is, a Bible is an expensive thing to print if you're using like a movable typeface, printing press, right? That's a lot of text. It is a big endeavor to print a Bible, even if you have a printing press. And so, they were like, we're going to save a whole bunch of money by just not printing it. And then, like I said, various Protestant groups, after adopting that as their Bible, just kind of came up with a theological reason as to why the Apocrypha or the Deuterocanonical books just weren't part of their Bible.
Just a brief interruption. So what I put in the pan, getting I put in brown mustard seed. I'm gonna wait for those mustard seeds to pop like a popcorn, and then I'm going to once that'll tell me when the oil is up high enough, and then I'm going to add a mixture of cumin, coriander, paprika, and Egyptian za'atar. Even though it's tacos, we're very ecumenical in our taco.
It's very, very not Mexican spices. My plan for lamb tacos is to slow cook some lamb chops, then cut them thin, and then just put them on a bed of shredded cabbage and top it with some pico de gallo. I'm going to flavor season the lamb, obviously. But
we're going to be making some pico de gallo here as well.
Nice.
So we got veggies from the garden, and we got some vinegars over there. There's a bunch of various vinegars and things over there.
Like I've told a few people, it's not very often that Easter is on the one Mexican holiday that isn't much of a Mexican holiday in Mexico, but that Americans care about.
It's probably the most misunderstood holiday.
Yeah, it's
the
barely
U.S.
even
calendar.
a holiday.
And it actually has very significant significance for the U.S. The Bible Pueblo had an important bearing on the Civil War.
Yeah,
it's not the Mexican independence celebration. Stop that.
Oh, you know what though? I've talked to a lot of like Mexican Americans of like the first or second generation, and they're like, this isn't much of a thing in Mexico. However, it's an excuse now that we're in the U.S. to like play up Mexican, like our Mexican heritage, and everyone's celebrating all sorts of Mexican stuff. So, you know what? I like it. It's not much of a thing in Mexico, but you know what? I'll take the appreciation.
It's a fine holiday. So I have a Doc Swenson's glass that I'm going to be drinking since it's rum and Coke. A actual rum from Haiti.
Nice.
Ooh.
Haitian rum. So because I figure somebody has to at least. I assume somebody has a Coke someplace.
I do.
Um,
Yes. Although I'm out,
I have
I
the
need to get
rum.
more.
I have the rum, and so anyway. Please continue to because
Oh,
the information you're providing is actually quite important relative to this season as well as to culture.
So I guess there have been some controversies about the canon that have occurred here and there. One was that the Book of Revelation, or the Revelation of St. John, or whatever you want to call it, the book that's last in the New Testament, actually had an uphill battle to get into the Bibles in the Eastern Roman Empire as well as the Persian Empire.
Oh,
One
yeah,
thing people forget about is the Persian Empire had a lot of Christians in it.
Yeah, it was a thing where, in fact, there also were. It was common for not uncommon for a Catholic priest to tell people, "Don't read that book. That book is supposed to be read in a proper context."
Well, actually, it's the one book of the New Testament that in the churches that follow a traditional cycle of readings never actually gets read in church.
Yeah.
So the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, or I guess the Anglican churches, the Anglican Communion, whatever, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Oriental Orthodox Church, they don't read from Revelation in church. And that was sort of like a compromise. It was like, all right, look, we'll include it, but like people go crazy when they start hearing this stuff, which, I mean, if you've been paying attention to like American doomsday prophets, I mean, they were definitely right about that. People do go crazy when they start reading it. So yeah,
and certainly the evangelical. There's a chunk of the evangelical movement that really harps on the whole Revelations thing, and who is the Antichrist and 666 and all that sort of stuff. So
that stuff right there is exactly why, like the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church, etc., don't read from it in church because they don't want people doing that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, but there are also Protestants who say that 666 is a coding for the Pope, and the Pope is the Antichrist. So.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, the Pope being the Antichrist is a long-standing trope in Protestantism, and like, well, look, I'm not exactly a fan of the Roman Catholic Church, and the institution of the papacy is,
yes,
we'll call it storied, shall we say? It's a storied institution. That doesn't make the Pope the Antichrist. Sorry, guys.
yes.
So then another controversy was
Well, real quick, is this 666 supposed to be a reference to Emperor Nero, or is
Yes.
that made up? Oh,
no,
that's real.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's this thing called gematria, which is where you take. So Hebrew letters also, like Latin letters, right, or Roman letters, they can be used to stand in for numerals, right? And so to get the gematria value for a word, you just take the numerical value of all the letters in Hebrew and add them up. And then that's the value of the gematria for that word. And it's, in some cases, it was used as just a code, which is what's happening in Revelation. Although later on, it was also used for like mystical significance. Like, oh, the gematria for the word, what was it? Chaim, which is life, is like 18 or something. And so that becomes a significant number in Jewish mysticism. But the what's happening in Revelation is actually more of the code sense and not the mystical thing. And so there are a couple ways that you can transliterate Nero Caesar into, Aramaic or Hebrew, which are going to end up being about the same thing because they're using this. They have very similar phonologies. So there's Caesar, Nero Kaiser or Neron Kaiser. The first one is Latin, the second one is Greek. So depending on which language you're coming from, you either have a few extra letters or you don't. The Neron thing is from Greek, where it's basically a Greek case ending to make the word easier to decline in Greek so you can actually use it in sentences without it being confusing. But anyway, when you take the Latin one, you get 616, which is why there's also manuscripts where it says the number of the beast is 616. And then if you do it in from Greek to Aramaic or Hebrew, you get 666, which is the majority of manuscripts coming down on that side.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a reference to Nero. And so the context for the writing of Revelation is the Neronian persecution of Christians. And the purpose of the book is basically a coded message for Christians to remain faithful in the face of this persecution. It's not a book about the end times.
Because the Romans had pretty heavy censorship. It was,
I just want to point out real quick. I just won. I got first place in my game. I just fucked around and found out. But can you guys tell that Dapper and Landon are not usually in a room together and allowed to talk about whatever the damn well they please? They're usually like very restricted, because if they're not restricted, this is what happens.
I mean, are you complaining about this?
I mean,
No, I would never.
It is. You know, and there are things like with the one of the things that's one of the textual things that Johannine comma.
Literally
which
the point of the show.
Okay.
which is one of the things that probably has the strongest reference to Trinity, the Trinity doctrine. By far in there. But there's other things too, and even the notion of the chapters and verse numbers are not universal. They're
a fairly late thing that was added in, and there are different chaptering and versification traditions.
Some of the breakages are real weird. Like they'll have a chapter in the middle of a sentence break.
Yeah,
right.
It can be one of the things though that can complicate it is that English translators don't always break sentences in the same place as the original language. So there can be that, because in some cases it's more natural in English to translate something as like with subordinate clause, even though the original actually had like two sentences that ends up having the same meaning, but English likes to just do a lot more subordinate clauses sometimes. So that kind of thing does happen. So you will get places where it's like, why is this verse breaking in the middle of a sentence? And the answer is actually, well, in the original, that's actually two sentences, but that's not how it was written up in English. So that does happen. But sometimes, it can just be weird. Also, if you look at a modern Bible, sometimes you will find that there are numbers that are skipped. And usually what that indicates is that there's a verse that was in the text when the verse that was thought to be original to the text when the verse system was come up with, but we now know was almost certainly not original to the text. So there's about a couple dozen or so verses that in most modern Bibles won't be printed in the main body, although they're usually printed in the footnotes.
So
and,
the American Standard Bible that I have has where you'll see things saying in the original text, some original text included this thing in the middle of it, right?
Yeah. So that includes in some cases it can actually be a fairly significant amount, like the longer ending of Mark, where the women at the tomb go and tell the disciples about the resurrection, and then the disciples go and look at the tomb and whatnot. That's not in our earliest manuscripts of Mark. In the earliest manuscripts of Mark, the man at the tomb, who's presumed to be an angel, just tells the women at the tomb, go tell the disciples that the Lord is not here and he'll meet them on the road. And then the text just ends with, they left and told no one because they were afraid. And that's how Mark ends. Now, you can debate whether or not Mark intended to imply, therefore, that no one ever did see a resurrected Jesus. I doubt that that's the implication. I think it's just leaving a dramatic ending. But then again, I might be wrong about that.
There's a question from the chat, because apparently I'm still managing this stream. Aren't chapter verse divisions basically a line number in BASIC a reference to the location easier?
So they're definitely just there to make it easier for you to reference the text. In the Old Testament, they do tend to correlate pretty strongly to Hebrew sentences. And also Hebrew sentences, if you look at print versions of the Hebrew Bible, will sometimes be line by line. Not always, but
they had a function in doing a homily where the priest is given instructions of here's what to say and here's the references for the text to be able to say rather than saying somewhere in this manuscript you'll find blah blah blah. It was useful in that sense, but the chapter and phrasing was highly dependent upon some things. You'll find differences.
Yeah, and also one of the things when it comes to things like verses between sentences and whatnot, it's not always clear where the sentence breaks are, because in ancient manuscripts there were no periods or spaces or anything anything other than just the letters. So like I just randomly opened up a Greek New Testament to the Gospel of Luke, and I'm over in what is this? I don't even know. Chapter 23. And so if you look at like the division between verses 32 and 33, so
It's number the
32,
beast are barcodes. Sar, if you feel like you have a joke, it's rum and coke night. Just say it.
Yeah,
Interrupt
right.
Dapper and Landon. It's okay. I believe
Yes.
in you. You can do it. Fuck them.
so yeah, like verse 33 just starts with the word and it's like, well, is that a new sentence? You can put a new sentence there. This text does put a period between.
No, the Bible was just written like it was Twitter. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, to some extent, yeah.
140 character limit verses, right? That was.
I've been literally watching somebody use the word dumb, but they're spelling it with a V instead of a U. Why? I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, speaking of dumb, Dapper, your most recent video you published regarding people that have very interesting interpretations of Hebrew.
Oh yes.
Can turn
Interesting.
included-
Like Jeranism thinks
and-
the Earth is round. Interesting.
Well,
It-
at least it's not
Go ahead.
period, but.
Period, but
but it did include the interesting use of words in meaning the opposite of what they did. That was-
what was it?
what was the thing?
Ambiguous versus unambiguous.
Yes, ambiguous
Yeah.
means unambiguous, according to this.
Yeah, this person kept saying ambiguous, but he was reading the word unambiguous, and he was using the word ambiguous to mean unambiguous. It was very confusing.
Yeah, I will be
Um,
ambiguous so that the meaning is clear.
Right.
They would say.
I was like, that's not how that works, buddy.
But
Yeah,
but,
so-
but yeah, go ahead and you talk about that Hebrew. The interesting thing about Hebrew was
So yeah, that particular thing, that stream was about a black Hebrew Israelite, which is, first of all, not all of them are black. None of them are Hebrew, and none of them are Israelites. And so it's a weird name.
Brother.
So
But what part of black Hebrew Israelite do you not understand?
It's all of it, because none of
Yeah.
it is accurate. Well, actually, the black part is usually accurate. It's just not always accurate. So this is basically a movement that arose within the African American Christian community, because African Americans have basically, since long before the Civil War, identified themselves with the story of the Exodus, understandably so. All right, because there's an entire book in the Bible all about the struggle of this one group of people to overcome their bondage in a foreign land, which, if you don't see why that would connect to the African American experience, then I don't know what to tell you. It seems pretty obvious to me.
Though, where is his? But on the other hand, the actual Exodus account, where is the archaeological evidence that actually occurred?
Oh, nowhere. It almost certainly did not occur as depicted in Exodus. But the thing is that in order to get meaning out of it, it doesn't actually have to be literally true. Is the other thing, right? Like, if you find meaning in like
meaning in stories. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
if you find meaning in like the plot of Star Wars or like in the Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, and you want to take that on board and make that a big part of your life, I'm not going to tell you not to. Whatever, that's fine.
I mean, if you find meaning in a Shakespeare play, that's fictional. Go for it.
Look, if A Midsummer Night's Dream speaks to you, I mean, Oberon doesn't have to be a real fairy lord in order for that to be the case, right? So yeah,
But Puck is
long.
real. That dog
Well,
is
obviously.
real. Yes.
Obviously. I mean, he's probably just out of frame. So as a result of this, there's long been a sense in which African Americans identify with the Hebrews in Egypt. And so there was then a group of primarily Christians who thought that maybe this identification was more than just symbolic, and in fact, they were the descendants of the Israelites, and that they were the result of the sort of Babylonian captivity scattering of the inhabitants of Judah and the earlier scattering of the inhabitants of Israel. And that actually the people talked about in the Bible were primarily Black Africans and not, say, Middle Easterners, which is what they actually historically were.
Well, what
They
about
weren't.
the Israelites in North America that Joseph Smith referenced?
Oh my
What are
god!
they-
But what about the racism?
So the weird thing there is that the Black
Welcome
Hebrew
to rum and
Israelites.
coke night, everyone.
Yeah. So the Black Hebrew Israelites have
I'm a
actually
bluff.
decided that Native Americans, Hispanic people, as well as like a few other groups from basically not Europe, are also descended. So basically, the Israelite Club, according to them, is basically everyone who isn't completely white. So it's a weird thing. So it's like, oh, you're from Mexico. Oh no, yeah, you count as an Israelite. Oh wait, you're from Germany? No. You're Jewish? Doesn't matter. You still don't count.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, the racism.
Yeah. So one of the things about Black Hebrew Israelites is they usually deny the actual Israelite roots of like Jews, broadly speaking. They seem to be willing to make some exceptions for non-white Jews. So like they might be willing to accept Beta Israel, which is a traditionally
Beta.
Jewish, well, it's a traditionally Jewish group from Ethiopia that are composed of Ethiopians, who are now mostly living in Israel because they got the F out of Ethiopia basically the minute they were allowed a right of return by the Israeli government. Anyway, so in addition to their weird race ideology about being an Israelite, as well as their completely ahistorical idea of where people groups in the world come from, they also have this idea that the I don't even know what to call it. The orthographic innovations of the Masoretes, which was a medieval group of probably Karaite, although it's not completely clear, Jewish scholars, are just the work of like evil white people pretending to be Jews, which is what they think of most Jews as.
Ah,
And so they've decided that not only will they reject the orthographic innovations, which is mostly just a set of diacritical marks that indicate various things like
Evil white people pretending to be Jews.
yeah, I'm not kidding.
yes.
You're
not kidding.
I don't know what that is.
It's what the Black Hebrew Israelites think actual
Why
Jews
am
are.
I even here?
I don't know.
What's happening?
You invited me. This is your fault.
This is rum and coke, right? This is
So-
like DFF that's been going on for a long time.
So the biggest thing that the
This fucking show's a joke.
biggest,
Sorry.
the two
go
big
ahead.
things that the Masoretes did was they established a canonical text for the Hebrew scriptures, especially for the Torah, and that is the text on which basically every Hebrew edition ever since then has been based on. But the other thing they did was they came up with a system of diacritics that can be added to an already existing Hebrew text to unambiguously indicate vowel pronunciation, as well as in some cases where certain letters have more than one pronunciation value, which version you're going to use. So, for instance, in like in English, the letter C has a few different pronunciation options. Well, they came up with a way to disambiguate that for the letters in the Jewish alphabet, or the Hebrew
Sure.
alphabet, I suppose, that have that same
Sure.
problem. Well, the Black Hebrew Israelites have decided, no, that's not it. And so, since one of the biggest things that the Masoretes did in terms of orthography was establishing vowel marks, and since, of course, they're evil white people only pretending to be Jews, they came to the obvious conclusion, which was also agreed to by some white guy from like the 17th century 19th century for some reason. So they used him as backing, even though his work has been just completely disregarded by everyone for centuries. Originally
the alpha males.
originally Hebrew, with one exception, had simply a series of consonants followed by a neutral open vowel, and that's how Hebrew should be pronounced. Every consonant followed by an open vowel, unless the letter ayin is involved, in which case it becomes the diphthong I. And it makes their vocalization of Hebrew bafflingly weird and nearly incomprehensible to anyone who actually speaks Hebrew as either like biblical Hebrew or as modern Hebrew in terms of like, the everyday language in the state of Israel. And it also has led to all sorts of weird conspiracy theories, like that Semitic languages never had vowels in the first place, which isn't true. Proto-Semitic has been very reliably reconstructed as having 3 vowel qualities and 2 vowel lengths that were phonemic.
So, by the way, just to be clear, Dapper is a linguistic denier, right? He denies he's a linguist.
I do deny that I'm a linguist because I am not a linguist.
Yeah, but he likes languages, and
yes,
and so Dapper, has there ever been a Klingon
He's a linguist
translated Bible?
Enthusiast. That was the word I was looking for
Enthusiast?
earlier.
Oh, okay.
Like, what's the word? Enthusiast.
I will say I am an enthusiast. So as far as a Klingon Bible goes, there has been an attempt to translate the Bible.
An attempt.
It has produced a few translations of a few books. One of the problems is, though, that when it was first initiated, it was quite a while ago, and the corpus of Klingon words thanks, Mark Argamato. The corpus of Klingon words has significantly increased since then. Like, when this was started, there was an unofficial Klingon word for table. Right? Like, if you needed to say table in Klingon, you had to come up with a way to describe a table without just having a noun
that had food on it.
Yeah, like you could talk about that. I mean, I know one person who liked to talk about the thing that's flat. And it's like, yeah, these are all completely inadequate. So
the thing that's flat.
Yeah. So there has not been a completed Bible. There have been a few books that were completed. They were mostly short ones, like Philemon. It would be interesting to see a revival now that we have a much bigger corpus of words in Klingon. Because, I mean, there's just a lot of official words that we just didn't have.
And also Dapper has a significant expertise in Klingon.
Well, I'm certainly better than
99%.
Much more than that. Much more than
that. 99.99%.
Probably closer to that. I would probably add a few more nines, and by that I mean
0.999 repeating.
Yeah, maybe. No. So basically, there's probably in the entire world, there's certainly fewer than 1,000 people who are better at Klingon than I am. There's probably a few hundred that are better at it than I am. And the number of people who have any knowledge of Klingon, who studied it, who can string a sentence together, it's probably a few thousand. So
Red Eye is asking if you've added enough Vegemite.
I do have some Vegemite there, but the question is, of course, which kind of mite I'm going to use. There's multiple mites. So for example,
termites,
Marmite, for example, mite, right? So I have some Ozymite. I have Promite. I do have actual Vegemite there. I do have an unopened box of Lin 17, but we're not going to use that because that's super special. But I'm cooking with it. Vegemite on a sandwich is on toast is really good. By the way, I don't have any Marmite or anything of those things. There's only there's I think maybe I don't know. Maybe the Awesomite is what I have. Promite's actually probably my favorite of the mites at the moment. Made in Australia.
Robert says, yeah, Klingon is an invented language. Just invent a word that means table that everyone can agree with. Not all languages are like that, but languages have rules. Me and Dapper back in the day on the great debate community that is, what is the YouTube channel that is no longer monetized, did a video where we were slowly building a goblin language.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Why are these offset from each other? Whose idea was that?
But to answer Red Eye, I'm going to use some Ozymite in.
He said blend 17.
As long
Linda
as it's not
Moore-
thermite.
And he wants that jar that you had.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, so
That is rare as hen's teeth.
when it comes to Klingon and rules and who gets to say what's what, there's actually a rule as to who is allowed to invent new words and who is not. And the rule is basically that Mark Okrand is the guy who is allowed to invent new words. Mark Okrand is the person who was hired by the producers of Star Trek 3 to create the language in the first place, because he had previously worked on Star Trek 2 to create Vulcan dialogue that would be dubbed over some English dialogue recorded by Kirstie Alley and Leonard Nimoy, because they thought that it would be more effective if, in fact, those two were speaking Vulcan instead of English. And so he was brought on board to do that. And so the same producers worked on Star Trek 3, and the script called for the Klingons to speak, well, Klingon. And so, he was brought on board to create Klingon, and the only real corpus of Klingon words that he had to go on was some what were otherwise nonsense syllables that were spoken by Mark Leonard, who played a Klingon captain in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, because they didn't have a role for Sarek, Spock's father, in that movie, but they wanted to put Mark Leonard in it anyway.
I have a question.
So, yeah.
A little maybe kind of pseudo off topic. If you were playing D&D and you had to give a class to Spock, what class would he be?
I mean, it's got to be intelligence based, so probably wizard.
You think he'd be a wizard?
Yeah,
I would say wizard.
yeah.
Would you make him an elf?
I mean, elves do have a lot in common in terms of like longevity and pointy-earedness with Vulcans.
That's just racist.
I mean, it's also just physically true.
Specious.
Shoe fits, he said.
Specious. It's specious.
So
Specious.
I don't know, maybe like a high elf, not a wood elf,
No.
not Drow either.
Yeah.
What about
I think-
Eladrin? He's not moody enough. Eladrin.
Yeah,
is
no,
super
yeah.
moody.
Eladrin is super moody. Maybe if he were Romulan, I'd make him
Ooh, a
Eladrin.
Scion. Yeah, that's like some
Okay.
4th edition shit.
4th edition. The
Um,
one I only ever played once.
I saw somebody. I learned D&D off of 4th edition.
I know.
Pity me. So
I'm sorry. Trademark Canada. That's 'cause
okay. So somebody
I started
had
with
recently
mimeographs
posted, so 1D
of
and
the first edition, but
right? So 1D and D is the thing that's happening, which is supposed to be some kind of like instead of D6, because instead of it's the 6th edition of D&D, and they're not going to call it D6, like a bunch of losers who don't know how PR and marketing work. They're going
this another
to
Wizards
they're calling it
thing?
One,
Yes.
they're calling it 1D.
Oh.
And they people are like worried about the changeover or whatever, right? And I think the best answer to that is, you don't have to change over, right?
Yeah,
You can play 4th edition if you want. You can do it like right now.
I know people who are playing 2nd edition AD&D right now.
So if you
Oh,
look at
yeah.
the first edition mimeographs, it says, here are some things that you can do, but these aren't rules. These are just suggestions.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, in fact, actually, that's still technically the first rule in Dungeons and Dragons, which is to say, hey, if you don't like a rule or a rule isn't working for your table, or you think it's more fun to do a different thing, do that.
Yeah,
And the dungeon master gets to say, right? That they're
Yeah.
the ones that decide table rules.
Look,
people should
rules,
hire me for PR and marketing. Yes, hire me. I know what I'm
Rule-
doing.
rules are there to facilitate play. If a rule isn't facilitating play, don't use it.
I actually really like 5th edition because I think it's a good marriage between 4th edition and
Yes.
0.5.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I-
4th edition,
agree.
however, has some shit that is not in any other edition, and they're called minions.
Yes, minions are great.
Minions are great. 4th edition also has a handful of 2 things that I really, really like in it besides the minions. One is it does a really good job at dealing with like big events. So not like small group on small group, more like big group, like war
Yeah.
map. And that part of the minions are part of that. But the other one is that 4th edition gives you that like you're level 20, now you're level 30. Like you're like god tier level bullshittery.
I mean, 3.5 had that too.
Yes, but 5th edition doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what
So
I
thi-
mean. 5th
so
edition
this is-
doesn't have that, oh, I'm Thief of Legend. I steal things that are incorporeal. Like, the fuck does that mean?
I steal the concept of love. Now no one can love anything ever again.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well,
'Cause I
that's
stole it.
individual. You can only steal that from an individual. You can't take it from like everybody.
Still.
It doesn't work like that. But yes.
But you're saying that so the Wizards has done they call it D1 now rather than D6?
Yeah,
Wow.
they're calling it D&D 1.
I thought they were playing 1D&D.
Yeah. That's what I
One
said.
in- So I would suggest that Wizards are a bag of AIG.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
D&D's nuts.
Ah,
Hey,
Look,
now.
overall, I'm a pretty big critic of 4th edition. I don't like a lot of what it did. I don't like how it felt like a video game. I don't like everyone having only a preset list of moves they can do, which seems to, it doesn't have to, but in practice, it often restricted player creativity. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about 4th edition. However, I do like them including certain things like adding Warlocks to the core class list, adding Dragonborn to the core race list. I really liked Minions. I think Minions deserve a comeback.
Yeah.
Because, like, in case people don't know what a Minion is, because maybe you're not familiar with 4th edition, Minions were basically enemy NPCs whose hit points you didn't have to track. If they got hit, they died. That's it. They had simple stat blocks. You didn't have to worry about how much damage you did to them or how many hit points they had. You hit them once, they're out of the combat. If you want to argue that they didn't die and maybe some of them survive and to be questioned later, sure, whatever, who cares? But fundamentally, they were easy to run. So that when you had a boss guarded by, like 50 orcs, who weren't a big challenge, but who were fun to mow down with your relatively high-level party, you didn't have to sit there and track the hit points of 50 individual orcs. Because, my God, who wants to do that? No one.
And by the way, again, this is rum and coconut. This Haitian rum, even though Haiti they have some problems, this is actually really good rum. I would not ruin it by adding Coke to it. This is definitely yummy.
Don't add Coke, shitty Coke to good alcohol is what you're telling us.
Actually, I'm going to be right back and get some more Coke because I'm just out.
So Josh, what is the current kerfuffle about or about that they wanted to do wanted to basically take away people's rights to do what they wanted to do in D&D? Where is that right now with that whole controversy?
You're talking about the licensing.
Yes, licensing.
They pretty much pulled as far back on that as I think it was likely for them to go. They basically just kind of took it back. They were like, sorry, but we're not really that sorry, but also a little bit sorry. That was basically what they did.
They probably didn't mention it was Trademark Canada, though.
No, definitely not.
Unless you're
they're
Canadian,
also,
you have to
like,
say Trademark
taking-
Canada. 'cause-
Yeah, they're currently taking a dip into AI art, which is not going well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Wizards?
not going well for them.
Seven-fingered wizards and that sort of thing.
Should you share the stream now that you're off work? Listen, like and share. If you share it with 2 friends and those 2 friends both share it with 2 friends, suddenly I'm going to explode. We all want to watch Landon cooking, so let's be real
Yeah.
here.
Cheshire's multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So this is the stuff that are going to be part of the tacos. We also going to make some eggs. My niece is going to come in and make eggs for stuff. We have, of course, some lettuce. we're going to make our own pico de gallo.
Ooh.
We have also in terms of hot sauce, Palo Alto Firefighters hot sauce. This is not a paid endorsement. This particular
Thanks.
group, Palo Alto, California, the firefighters there crafted a recipe, and back in 1904, and it is a particular really quite good sauce. It's not super hot, but it's quite flavorful, and the actual proceeds goes to charities that they have. So this is a good thing, made really by real firefighters there. I used to get it when I lived down there from the firehouse, and they sell it, and the proceeds go to do nice things for folks, particularly people, people that they do things like, for example, people who have lost their home to a fire, or pets that they find that sort of thing, a whole bunch of stuff, related to fire rescue stuff. So
Make
Palo
sure you
Alto
keep your pet.
firefighters pepper
You
sauce.
keep your pet in a way that if something happens, your pet has a way out.
And also in your Smart 911, let the first responders know that you have what pet you have.
Yeah.
There are people that will try to, in addition to going in to a burning house to try to see is there any people there, they also will try to rescue your pets, especially if they know where they are or what they are. Anyway,
obligatory. Do not abuse your what is it called in D&D when you get your your Fey Pact buddy if you're a wizard?
Oh, you're familiar?
You're familiar, yeah. Don't abuse your familiars.
Okay,
By the way,
counterpoint. It is a single first level spell that you can cast any given day to summon a new familiar.
That is not an excuse to abuse them.
It's an abuse if they're just part of your own soul, really.
So I
Well,
wanna point
Fey
out-
Pact technically also they don't really die; they just kind of pop back. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
and this is rum and coke. We have all kinds of things that are doing cooking. We have Peugeot salt and pepper shakers, right? And you might think that's kind of weird. The one of the early products of the Peugeot company was salt and pepper grinders. That's one of their things before they actually made
That's cool.
automobiles, so forth.
Those
And
are the classic ones.
And they are actually really good. I would go and find a Peugeot salt and pepper shaker. They know how to do it. They've been doing it for more than a century, and because you say, well, you want to be grinding your pepper or salt, right? You want to have real, sort of like, you want to start with peppercorns because they'll keep, and grind them rather than get pepper powder. The same thing with salt. You want to have flake salt that gets ground to turn into salt stuff, and they grind very well. They're good feel. I can't say enough good things about them. So go to the Peugeot company and buy yourself a salt and pepper shaker. Do yourself a favor. Don't belittle your food with lesser grinders.
That's hilarious. Hashtag also
how do you-
not sponsored, I assume.
How do you spell that?
Peugeot. It's a French company. It is a French company. It is Peugeot. Peugeot. Just the same company that does the automobiles, right? The French company. They do lots of things. Peugeot does lots of things, from aircraft stuff and ships and other things like that. They're quite a wide variety. They're like Siemens is to Germany, or Samsung is to Korea. They are good. They are, and they'll last a lifetime, and they grind well. They fit well in the hand. They are worth. If you're gonna eat it, you might as well put it in there. I do highly recommend it. So, and they're a lot cheaper than getting that ground pepper that you get in the store that's aged and aerates and then loses its flavor and so forth. No. Real stuff.
Oh, I've been grinding my own pepper for years now. I got one.
But
of,
yes,
cheap-
the grind is really good. The details. I mean, also how it grinds is really the feel of the things. They're nice, wood crafted. They feel very well. They have adjustable things here. You can adjust the fineness of the grind, and it sits there very well. Highly recommended.
So, Landon, the food that you're making, what's the prep time on it?
I think for this thing, probably the prep time might be, the whole thing might be 30 minutes, but I have some family members that want to contribute, like my niece is going to come in. She's going to do the eggs. We're going to also have egg tacos, and we're going to make some pico de gallo. We're going to make, we have some mezcal that we're going to go and do some.
So like the taco meat mix that you're focused on.
This is like, I was lollygagging, but I would say it was maybe even 10 minutes or so. I did of the, maybe 15, right? I did the olive oil with brown pepper seeds, heated up to the point where the brown pepper seeds start popping like popcorn. I then added my spice to sear it like they do in the Southern Indian style cooking, and then chopped some onions from the garden that added in to saute it, and then added other things. This is going to be a combination of stuff to put in tacos for people who want sort of protein-like stuff, or other things beyond that. We'll have a pan that'll put some. When it comes time to actually making the tacos, I'm going to start frying the tortillas. We have various cheeses going on there. We have lettuce from a thing from the garden. There's probably other things so I'm going to sit there and think of other things I want to do, because I want to add, because tacos here is a matter that you have these various ingredients out on the table, plus sauces and other things, and you just sort of, you make a small taco and you eat it, and then you try other things. Like we have sour cream, and we have some cottage cheese, and we have lots of stuff. Because tacos are just there's a general class of stuff. We'll have some cottage cheese, maybe some mayonnaise. There'll be so the way we do tacos is that you get your plate as I start frying the tortillas, either corn or flour, depending on what you want. Then you take that hot thing and you start adding in your proteins, or your like your eggs or whatever, or your cheeses, and you add some veggies like some lettuce, and you start putting in spices, and then you just eat it, right? And you just make a small taco and you go and do another one. So you do several tacos. Interspersed between margaritas done by scratch and mezcal done by scratch. You do not need to go to Taco Bell.
The name of the show. This is no longer Rum and Coke. This is now just Landon cooks once a month with friends.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
It really is.
Mhm.
I mean, you can eat well and do simple stuff.
That's not simple. Fuck you. That was simple. What do you mean?
If I was doing French cuisine style tacos, that would be complex, right? The French cuisine, it really knows how to basically take something simple and turn it into something extraordinary, right? But it takes a lot of effort and time. Also, I must say, and as well in the Indian subcontinent, a lot of those dishes can take a while to marinate and so forth. They have some really elaborate dishes as well. But
letting something just sit around in a fridge isn't difficult.
Shesh makes a compelling point, Landon.
There is true.
I'm fired. I'm firing myself. I'm not allowed to be here anymore.
So how are people doing? What's new and exciting for folks?
Landon, we are almost an hour. We're past an hour and a half.
Leave Landon alone.
Did you know that there are people in the chat asking about the layout of your kitchen?
Okay, so the current kitchen right now is in construction. Do you see this? Do you see this right here?
Yes.
This is a piece of plywood because in that direction is being constructed the Skytrium. A Skytrium is an atrium that looks at the sky. Why? Because in that direction over there is Canada. And Canada has really beautiful Cascade Mountains and so forth. You want
They're
to look at it.
spying on us.
And
We need
in that
bigger
stuff
hedges.
will be Cafe Law, where there's a real espresso machine. You can make espresso by hand, not a robot stuff, not Starbucks. You make it yourself, and a bar there. Also a wet bar and other things as well if you want to do drinks. But that's what's being constructed that way. That's why this sort of weird door is here. We're going to go walk into that thing into the Cafe Law and the Skytrium area there. I would say this. I guess you call it. This is Treehouse. We call it Treehouse, in part because there's a tree in the house. I'll just show you briefly what I mean by that. You see over there? Do you see that? Do you see that?
Is a
There's a tree.
house in the trees?
That is a tree.
Oh my
There's
god.
a tree in the house. So it's called Treehouse. Now outside there's a
Landon
house and a
lives
tree.
in an elf home.
But this is Treehouse, not the Treehouse, but Treehouse, because we thought it's like Guildhall. They say it's Guildhall, not the Guildhall. This is Treehouse.
Do you have a Hell House?
But anyway, so we're in
Spider's garden.
We're in Treehouse now. Right now, most of the family's out there doing gardening. They're going to the store to gather things, then come back in. So I will be moving away from here. At
You
some
don't have a
point.
store in your house? You have everything
only-
else.
We only have 2 refrigerators, 2 freezers, a cold room, and a storage room. Because it's. I mean, I'm sorry. It takes time, but
Fair enough.
I'm
don't have
a
sorry
garden
yet.
it takes time, he says.
but the broccoli is starting. We haven't started tomatoes yet, but the cauliflower, and also all the spices, oregano and mint and thyme and all those things, as well as onions and shallots and real, lots of stuff. So there's lots of veggies that we get out of the garden that we then make stuff from, and there's just a fun thing to make your own veggies and then cook them and eat them.
Landon lives in Arundel.
And also garlic. We have got the garlic too. That's the
Don't
thing
forget.
I
Don't
need to
forget.
add some garlic to this thing.
Garlic is very important. I agree with that.
Mm. It is very good for you.
Yes, and it's yummy.
I don't know what you
So-
would put, what you wouldn't put garlic in. I can't think of a single thing.
Ice cream.
No,
There is garlic ice cream.
Put garlic in ice cream. I would eat that.
That it exists doesn't mean that it should exist.
Yeah, but I would eat it. And
Put garlic on your pizza. I was deciding whether
Yeah.
yes,
pizza
put
or-
garlic on
or-
your pizza. Who's
Wait,
not
what
putting garlic on their
psychopath wouldn't?
pizza?
for stuff. On there, yeah. So I guess I would think like this thing here is kombucha, right? We make our own kombucha, little SCOBY and things. So you make the stuff. You use green tea that we get from somebody else.
What do you
that we
mean
then
don't put
brew.
garlic on a jam sandwich? What are you talking about? Have you
A
ever
little-
tried jam on garlic toast? What the hell?
Yes, and garlic and Vegemite go quite well together.
You people just are shallow-minded fools. All of you.
Oh, you know
put
what?
gar-
Hard candy. You can't put garlic on hard candy.
No,
So-
you put garlic in the middle of a hard candy coating.
Yes, you bite into it. So Chesh, when you went to Kansas, what do you think of the cuisine? You were in Kansas. You're not in Kansas anymore, as they say
Yes.
in the movie. What did you think about the cuisine of Kansas? What did you?
I went to a really good bar that was like a bar and grill, like a barbecue bar and grill. and I had like I went to a really good pizza place. So I got some solid pizza while I was there. But the specifically the bar, like the sports bar and grill, I asked them explicitly because I was concerned about the way that people in America make drinks after I saw somebody who claims to be a bartender making some questionable alcoholic beverages. So I asked them if they put cotton candy inside their drinks, and they were like, "No, that's disgusting. Why would we do that?" So I felt reassured that that is in fact not a weird American thing. That is just
Wait,
like
what
we want
video did you
diabetes in
see?
a cup.
What
Oh.
video did you see?
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh,
Or at least I don't
oh,
remember it.
no.
Dear.
I felt legitimate concern, so much legitimate concern that I walked away from the stream I was watching because I was like, "There's no way this happens. I'm leaving." And there was so much sugar in that cup. It was like
Oh,
they put cotton candy in with like a half a shot of vodka, and then put like blue Casaro and. And I said, if they put simple syrup in this, I'm walking away. And then they put in blueberry simple syrup, and I left.
oh.
Was it at least blue cotton candy to go with the blue curacao and the blue?
There was a blue
Yes.
cotton candy and a pink cotton candy, yeah. But they
Yeah,
didn't
there were.
like, rim the glass with cotton candy. They just shoved it full and then melted it with the shot.
Oh.
Yeah, they made a second drink, which
And then I
was
watched
the
them
pink one.
try a sip of it and almost like their face was probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a while, I ain't gonna lie.
So
Yeah, they were
so
like,
someone-
this is good." It wasn't
Someone
good.
chat asked about all the waste stuff. We have a goose bucket here, which is
sorry,
the
what?
kind of a goose bucket.
What is a
Um,
goose bucket?
It's a
Well,
bucket
if
made
you
out of a
actually-
goose.
What?
If you have geese, your table scraps can go to the geese because they'll like hogs eat anything, and they're very efficient Mr. Hanky producers. So you can have
My
your
dog knows
geese
it's his favorite snack.
food,
Oh.
but we don't have geese here. Our geese are people that are legally crossing the border from Canada. We have these Canadian
People.
geese from Canada that fly over Trudeau's ditch with impunity and invade the United States. So they do this stuff, but we instead, but the farm thing is the conical thing is the goose bucket go out to feed the geese, but we don't have geese. So instead we have compost piles out there that they then turn. So we recycle our food that we don't eat. We rarely use the garbage disposal. We instead use the goods bucket. So that's what's happening to the scraps. They're being recycled.
Oh, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know. I don't know. The food was good while I was there. It wasn't like I don't think I ate any besides the home cooking, which was good. The home cooking was fantastic.
Excellent.
I don't think I explicitly ate anything at like the bars or wherever I ate out. I did try like a popcorn like corn side dish that was good, which was weird to me because there's not like a whole lot of corn dishes in Canada where I live.
Yeah. Did you fly through Chicago on your way in?
No, I flew through Denver.
Okay.
So I was through Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And I did get to see the Colorado mountains briefly while I was flying over. One of
It's
the
the same
days
Rockies that are up in Canada, by the way. They
Yes.
they
Yeah, just
cross
keep
the
going
border
south.
with impunity.
Yeah,
Those
they-
damn Rockies invading the country, stealing
Yeah.
our jobs.
Eating
Them
raw
mountains.
eggs.
Yeah, unacceptable.
I would like to go and visit Denver a little bit longer and actually like check out Denver itself. I've also been invited to go to Philadelphia for a meetup. There's
Yeah,
there's a handful of places that I would like to go and visit just to go meet up with people and all kinds of cool random crap.
Yeah.
If you're in Philadelphia, make sure you get a cheesesteak.
I also need to go to wherever the fuck Dapper is.
It's Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
So I am in the process of trying to figure out how to go to Estonia. And-
Dapper's got a spot in Arizona that's got poutine, and I need to go there so I can judge it like very
probably
strictly.
It probably won't be nearly as good as you're hoping.
Mm.
But so I'm going to go to Estonia after going to the eclipse, because you're all going to see the total solar eclipse, I presume. Well, people like Manya that are on different part of the world have.
When you say
excuses.
going, yeah, what do you
going to stick yourself where the sun don't shine, because on April 8th,
I think
the
it's
moon
won't shine.
shoved my head up
It's
my
going-
own ass so I can see the solar eclipse.
Technically,
for about
that
4
is in
minutes
fact the
and 4
moon
seconds.
blocking the sun.
Yes. The moon's the sun. But after that, I need to go to Estonia, and it turns out that flying to Estonia is cheaper to fly from Canada than from the United States. So I might end up taking the train from, let's say, the Pacific Northwest through Chicago up to Toronto, and then do some Canada things, and then head off there. But
Melanie's gonna come visit me. It's gonna happen. You can't stop it.
I'm just pointing this out as it's coming along the line, because Tallinn is a beautiful city, and it's a magical thing. It is. People tell me that it rivals Prague in terms of its stuff. And there's places like Chopin did this and that there. There's a lot of musical things and history there. It's one of those places right now you want to go to now, because Putin is likely to spoil it in the future. So
Yeah.
so I want to
Time
go
to
there
get
now.
Estonia and NATO.
If you want to know about that, you should
Estonia
totally
is
watch
a
our
part member of
videos
NATO.
about the news.
Is it? Oh, okay, that
Estonia
makes sense.
is a member of the NATO and their EU. It's just that the United States may elect people that are not. They're Putin apologists.
What, the United States elect bad officials? Landon.
I'm sorry.
Your lack of faith
I
is
will.
good.
I will read my Trump Bible, which includes the Declaration of Independence. Was it Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights? I think that's what he said.
Well,
it was.
so somehow, yeah, apparently Trump thinks that the Bill of Rights is a separate document from the Constitution, despite the fact that it's just the first 10 amendments in the Constitution.
It is. I mean, that is
It's
fitting,
like-
given his attitude towards the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, it's like saying this Bible includes the New Testament and the Gospels. Like, yeah, that checks out.
I am sorry, Trademark Canada, that Trump is potentially a candidate here. I do have a plausible thing that he won't win, but you never know.
I mean, if I were a betting man, I wouldn't bet on him to win, but that doesn't make it certain.
I will bet on
I would
him
put
to
it like
win.
51-49 in favor of Biden.
I think it's a little better than that, but
I got 3 magnet removers and one that never goes away. Game.
What?
Stop it.
So I think whatever happens, Trump will not accept the results, even if he's declared the winner, because he won't. He will be satisfied that he didn't win everything.
Well,
I don't know. I feel like he might accuse there of being. He probably will still say that there's been voter fraud no matter what. But I mean, I don't think he's going to reject his win if he wins.
Oh, he will.
Oh, no.
He will declare his win whether he wins or not.
Yeah.
Also-
yes. Yeah.
I always love short
He'll
circuiting.
declare his win when he loses, I think is what
Yeah.
he said.
Yes. Yes.
I always love those Trumpists whose brains get short circuited when you tell them. So
Well, that's
if
because the instrument is too loud.
if Trump is currently president, does that mean he's constitutionally barred from running again?
I believe that Trump would say that he was illegally denied his second term.
Yeah, probably.
That sounds too smart for Trump. That sounds like something somebody would write for Trump to say.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
Trump would say something like mind-numbingly stupid.
Also, I can't imagine that man actually cares about term limits.
No,
Oh, he wants to be God Emperor.
he will, if he becomes president again, then push to have a constitutional amendment to do a Putin. Right now, Vladimir Putin, he's kind of clever that basically they change the laws on how the president of Russia is selected in the terms. And so Putin, the reason why he's running again is because the old laws were changed and he's running on his first term under the new laws.
Of course.
Yeah,
Okay, that's how it works.
gotta have that caveat.
Why
Grandfather him
even
in.
pretend? Why even bother with term limits anymore? If you're just gonna do
That was a thing. I saw that posted recently. It said like Trump 2025 or something like that. And it was like, well, they're not even hiding it anymore.
I mean, the
As if
reason
they were ever
why
hiding it.
is that Putin wants to sell to the Russian people that he won by a substantial margin, and given current attitudes within Russia, and former members that are there, Putin is actually quite popular in Russia. Right? I don't know why he had to bar the people he didn't like. He was going to get. He enjoys a wide range of popular support.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things he did the last time, because he had 2 terms and then second term, they changed the rules to say that instead of being president because your party nominates you, you could have a case where you could be run as independent. So Putin actually is an independent. Party can nominate like we do in the U.S., or he can gather as many signatures. And so he had signature gatherers go out into Russia and say, sign this. And he got enough signatures so he ran as an independent. And that's how he got his third and his fourth terms, because he was president under the new rules, and they changed the rules again. So now he's president again for stuff. So
Just keep changing the rules.
But I'll have to say is my belief is that if there was a fair contest, Putin would get the most number of votes out of other people.
Well,
I'm guessing at this point.
Odd from a political party who touts that their whole shtick is how much they love the Constitution, how much they love the rules, to be like, oh, listen, yeah, but Trump will just change the rules.
It's because they don't give a flying fuck about the Constitution. They just care about power.
You
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
they're
the
lying?
They use the Constitution as a shield, like a paper shield in front of their faces.
You know,
Brain.
whatever it takes to maintain power. That's all they care about.
But it will be interesting to see that how that gentleman of Putin party, known as the GOP, rationalizes things that after. So because again, the balance of power between the gentleman Putin party and the Democrats is so thin that the MAGA people hold the balance, right? So a member of Congress who despises, let's say, Trump and Putin will go along with the MAGA crowd, because if they don't, they'll lose. So there's a bunch of people who know better, members of Congress who know better, that are pulling the MAGA line, pulling the Trump line, because they feel they want to get elected or reelected. What can I say? But at some point, when things get much worse, there'll be a whole bunch of people that will pretend that they were not Putin apologists. Much like when U.S. declared war on Germany, there was a whole bunch of fascists in the U.S. that suddenly became non-fascists or pretended they weren't.
Yeah.
But again,
Well,
the Cold War is on, and you will and the result is you're going to be affected by it, right? No matter who happens, and it'll be interesting to see what those people how they rationalize. I really wasn't a friend of Trump, friend of Putin. But he knows that Trump is simple enough. All you have to do to Trump is praise him and tell him he's the greatest person since sliced bread, and Trump loves you.
He's not exactly a complicated guy.
No.
Even though we all know the actual greatest person since sliced bread was Betty White.
Yeah,
Yes.
without question. I don't know, man. If we want to talk about politics, I think part of the reason why Putin, even though he might have a majority, goes out of his way to make it so that other groups don't do as well as he does, is because it's in his best, like, long-term thinking rather than short-term thinking, like we see in America.
Yep.
So it's long-term for him to think,
Exactly.
hey, I'm in power now, but maybe I might not be later. Or maybe
Yes.
that will be more difficult for me in the future. So what he
Or-
does is he slowly, over time, suppresses what is ultimately not going to bother him right this very second. And so nobody really cares as much because it doesn't bother him in the short term, and it doesn't bother them in the short term because he's currently in power. Right? It's what the Democrats should be doing on a good day.
I think he's got. You're right. He's got, and he plays the long game. So,
Right.
for example, and he has a long memory. So, for example, people don't realize, but Canada has done extraordinary damage to the Russian Federation and
Yes.
to the set. But Canada, unlike the United States, is polite about it. They don't go and crow. However, Putin knows that what Canada's doing, and so Putin has a long-term designs to destabilize and F up Canada in any way, including
Yes.
encouraging people to behave in a belligerent-like fashion and to create discord.
Well, I'm sorry. Do you mean Alberta? I mean the Texas of Canada.
And other people as well. I mean,
Yes.
they're anyone that has a grief is having resources and angst being poured into them to try to create civil unrest in there. Plus other things happening. He's going after some Canadian interests
Yes.
globally as well. So
Are you saying that he's trying to tank the price of beaver meat and moose meat and maple syrup?
You
he
can't
is even
take the
que-
price of maple syrup.
It's true. The
he is
Quebecois won't let you.
Yep.
is having a disinformation campaign to say that Canadian maple syrup is tainted and is not as good as it was.
I mean, it obviously
I am
is
not kidding.
by the French.
Did you know that? And
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he
no,
doesn't-
like the French have like a stranglehold on the market.
yeah, for that.
Well, can you
But
blame
yes.
them?
Well, France is currently fighting a war against Russia or Wagner in Central Africa, or in Africa. Actually, the Africa that's below the Sahara. They're actually engaged in a hot war with Russian proxies right now.
They're doing their best.
It's why Macron has been advocating sending NATO troops into Ukraine, right?
Yes.
It's already happening in that area. So at some point, the war is going to get hot enough that I wouldn't say directly Russia, but one of their proxies will do something in the United States, causing the United States to say, "What the f?" and get involved in, unfortunately, a hot war. This is how Cold War works.
Yeah.
And then people will question is, but I don't think that Trump will be able to pivot fast enough.
Well, that, and it doesn't help that he's absolutely paranoid about his own people screwing him over. And by screwing him over, I mean a coup. But we should look at wrapping it up. We've only got like a couple minutes left. Landon, where are you going to be next?
I'm going to be where the sun don't shine. I am going to
Up my own
go
ass.
to the total solar eclipse on April 8th, and then of course there is a but don't we have a volcano show showing up?
We're supposed to. Are you gonna be there for that?
What day is that? That is the that is on the there's a mini show on the 13th of April.
Yes. Yeah, allegedly with Offbeat Outlaw. And if anybody doesn't know who Offbeat Outlaw is, go look the fuck up Offbeat Outlaw.
So that's the mini show on Mini Unnamed Tavern is not a tavern on the 13th. And the 12th is the volcano show. I will be actually in Seattle, probably broadcasting from a coffee bar there for that, because I'll still be in there. But we'll make it. We'll figure it out. And then, of course, on the 20th of April is Before Earth episode 3, where the Dark Ages is just finished.
Did
It's finishing, right?
figure out what this is on Vandalia's channel, right?
Yeah.
Did he figure out what Mario was yet?
and
That's
so
a no!
And by the way, this is the real Dark Ages. It's not the Dark Ages that historians cringe when you say Dark Ages. This is like when the universe went dark, and we had a true Dark Ages. So we're going to talk about stellar evolution. Sorry, Kent Hovind, and galactic evolution and that sort of thing on the 20th. But total solar eclipse. See it. Be there or be square. Garlic bits. Other people?
I'll be in the Discord.
Nice.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Oh, same, really. Working on commissions right now.
What?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Ow! Fuck!
You're right there, Chush.
No, I whacked my knee off my desk like an asshole.
Well, folks are going to come in on there. There's my niece, who's going to make the
Hello,
tacos, and my
Lance
brother.
family.
Let's say hello, Fam's family. There, we're doing the rum and coconut. We're just finishing the stove. She's going to be making the eggy bits for the tacos. And my brother, who does music and pianos and all kinds of cool
Your
stuff like
brother's
that.
got a rad beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like your beard and your hair, by the way.
Yeah.
All right.
We done
Thank you
it.
very much.
Good, but okay, who's got what going on? Dabber, what are you doing next?
Kent with Bents tomorrow, number 134.
134,
We're gonna-
Kent with Ben.
Ben's gonna wear
Yeah.
Ben's gonna wear a tutu.
Ben's gonna wear it. I do. Ben's hair's also been pretty rad recently.
Yeah. So if you want to see Bent and his rad hair and his tutu,
Hell yeah.
show up. It's gonna be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Bring something to drink, because we're gonna do the drinking game, because we usually do the drinking game. Then on Thursday, I've got my David Gottlieb Incoherent Shouty Moron, the movie, because he is in fact an incoherent and very shouty moron. So that's going to be a super cut. That's pretty long. So be prepared for that to be quite
Unbelievable.
the thing.
Unbelievable.
So that's what's coming up there. I don't know. I think that's. And then I guess Saturday I'm going to be doing more Dapper Reacts. I should be there. Sorry. With Vishanti. And we're going to keep looking at Dave Wurtzel, who calls himself Dino Dave. And
that's the one that's
he's what you get when you order Kent Hovind from Temu.
yeah, but you get him crossed with Dane Cook.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's got a little bit of that energy going on. So yeah, that's what's coming up there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come say hi. I don't know. Join my Patreon or something.
Subscribe. Click his
Yeah.
like button. Post a
Yeah.
comment.
Harass that like button.
Don't sub to this channel, by the way.
No.
Never.
Don't be here.
No.
Don't go to my. Definitely don't go to my Twitter.
No.
Don't do it.
No,
Actually,
no.
don't go to her Twitter. It's all misery.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't been. I've never been.
Don't do it. But do join us in the
Thank you.
Discord. That's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I already plugged the Discord, but okay.
Yeah,
And thank
do
you
more
for-
Discord. Was that when I
for
was
putting-
running away, bashing my knee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you were bashing your knee, I plugged it.
Sweet.
Thank
yeah,
you for putting
you
up
can
with
join the
Dapper and I
Discord if you
talking
want.
about esoteric biblical things and that sort of stuff.
It was
Okay.
interesting.
Bye. Say bye, everybody. Bye,
Boy.
everybody. See you guys next
Boy.
month for the next Rum and Coke on the first
Boy.
Monday of the month. Goodbye.
Bye.
Boy.
I'm counting 5, 4, 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Boy.
Yay.